We are officially live, you guys. Hello. Thanks for being here. We thought we went live once already, but we're back. So we're on the right channel where we are, and there's the chat again, the good chat, the normal one. Thanks for your patience, YAHSON. We're here, take two, having watched the movie Contagion, and we thought it was, I got kind of mad, but what was the word that you used?
Hilarious.
Yes. So we made it. We figured it out. We were trying to use Discord, but we couldn't get it done. So we're on Skype now. And I'm grateful for your patience, Yasin, and for your tech man friend. Tell him thanks
Yes,
from me.
special thanks to him, of course, here, Techman in
Yeah.
the back saved us here, yeah, last minute.
He's like, you
So,
guys aren't live. And I'm like, yeah, we are. Oh, no, we're not. We're not on the right. We're not. So just real quick, I want to ask people to hit the like if you are willing. If you don't like it, then you can certainly take it off later. You can not like it later, or you can send it to your enemies, however you feel. But just hit the like for now, and it helps the channel. So if you want, Yasin, you can give kind of your overall opinion or start wherever you want. I pulled up, just in case I need it, the synopsis, the plot summary synopsis, because there were some things I missed, either because I was just
sure,
annoyed with the show or not paying
sure.
attention. But yeah, anyway, you first.
No, we thought a lot now what could be our next movie, you know, after the sessions we did last year.
Right?
And I mean, we need to cover at one point one of those planned demonic movies, yeah. So
Right.
it is really. I mean, I think Contagion is probably the best of all these movies. So at least from the ratings and reviews point of view, I thought it's really hilarious and ridiculous movie. But in any case, people think that it accurately reflects the situation that we're living now, including the proposed solution. So I think there's a good guidance, a good basis to discuss a lot of things that are happening right now in the world. So
Hmm.
so
I think it's interesting, just as an overview, that this show makes the CDC the heroes. The CDC are heroes in
sure,
this show who really care about humanity and really want to, I don't know, change the world for the better. But it ends really funny too. But overall, yeah, this disease though is much deadlier. It's like a 3-day transmission or no 3-day death. Like there's no 14-day incubation period. There's no, maybe you should get tested. There was no testing. There wasn't that. And you sent
sure.
talk about the article that you sent me about this being like the urgent movie of 2020.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, no, people now that believe that this whole thing is real here, yeah. This plan demonic show that we are all experiencing here worldwide. They're looking for answers, and then the mainstream is looking into the movies, right?
Right?
And then they think, wow, look, that's smart guys. They had figured it out already 10 years ago, yeah. Well, that's why this movie is coming back on the radar, and I think it's very, let's say, now really the right time to cover it, because Brazil is now going to be officially blamed to breed the killer mutation. So what we've seen before was harmless, let's say, compared to what they will do now,
Right?
which I believe is a cover-up story for the vaccination side effects, but we can talk about this later. But basically, there will be now more likely than not officially a virus coming that has the 30% mortality rate that this movie is predicting.
Yeah.
So that is right.
Well, and they jumped on it so fast too, right? Like they're like, we've got to get on this before hardly anyone was dead, which I found really interesting. I was like, oh, they really care about humanity. And then the good doctor of the CDC, what was Lawrence Fishburne, and
Yes.
and he
Who
was,
else, right?
yeah, and and I was thinking, I didn't go through all the synopsis, but there was one part I wanted to mention where, oh no,
We want to go through it from the beginning, because there's so much stuff that is even running parallel. No? I mean, just
yeah,
for instance, if you start in the beginning, Aaron, yeah? How did
yeah,
the virus come into the United States? By Chicago airport, which is, of course, you could say it's the biggest airport, but no, there comes a virus from the east to the west,
it
airborne
starts in
by
Hong
airplane
Kong,
to the
Hong Kong,
Chicago airport, which is apparently a parallel to the COVID story. If you look
right?
up how the COVID entered the first place, where it was occurring the first time, surprise, surprise, it appears to be also Chicago. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the first parallel to the real, real fake.
Right, real.
Yeah, whatever that is. No? Yeah.
Yeah, and then oh, there was something I wanted to read, but it's kind of funny because this guy loses his wife and his son, and they don't really ever make you like feel sad about that. There's no development of these characters to be sad, and plus this gal who dies right off the bat, which is Gwyneth Paltrow, she's the one that like gets the first one that gets it coming back from Hong Kong, and she just dies right off the bat, and they don't develop those characters at all, which I thought was kind of interesting. They're just dead all of a sudden, and it's him and his other daughter, and he somehow is immune to it. This, which is what is the actor's name?
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon is immune to this. Yes, there it is, Chicago. And her lover dies too. He gets carried out on a stretcher. I didn't realize that. See, I didn't connect those dots. Yeah.
I mean, isn't it interesting that 10 years ago they have had that scenario put into a movie, and then a couple of years back they did this what was it called again? There was a simulated pandemic,
Yeah,
that they did.
Event 201, right? Mm-hmm.
Event 201, exactly. And it again kind of had the same storyline. It's. I mean, come on, can't mix that stuff up, yeah.
And they've got these other two that go hard at work to start creating a vaccine, but they just don't know how because it looks like a bat mixed with a pig, and then Homeland Security thinks that that's what it was. Homeland Security comes in and briefs this guy from the CDC because they say that they think it's a bioweapon because no terrorist has done that yet. Pretty interesting that they said that, huh?
And that also pops up in the official narrative. No? I think we have some contact to the Brazilian government. I think also your former US government, they were very strong on the conspiracy theory that China breeded a killer virus or whatever the case might be in Wuhan, and I think that is also again another hoax. It's a hoax on hoaxes. Yeah, so I think that's another.
And interestingly enough,
made-up story.
When you sent that article about how it's like the most urgent video of 2020, I had a picture, and I don't have it ready here, but I had taken a picture when I was in the grocery store because they had a movie stand with a whole bunch of different movies, a whole bunch, all over this movie stand. But there was Contagion, 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 like 5 different places placed on the movie stand. Like they were told, put this out so that people will watch it. It really felt like that was the case. I'm like, they want people to watch this, I guess. They want,
Sure.
Yeah. So that's why I think they've got this article that says this is urgent, watch this. That would scare people into like, oh my gosh, this is deadly, because they're wearing masks in the show. They're wearing masks.
I mean, that's another parallel. We had the parallel, came in from east to the west, that storyline. We had that parallel that it came in via Chicago. Then, of course, we had that programming about masks, alcohol gel. You see that the father being worried after the shop, cleaning the kids or the daughter's hand with alcohol gel. You have to come on.
Yeah. And did you see recently that it came out that hand sanitizer can cause cancer or something like that?
Yeah, I was. When look, all these things. In my humble view, it's a double-minded, double morality game. So all the things that they push on you as solutions, if you really research on it, it makes first sense if you think in the system, but then if you look closer, it does more harm than benefit, for the people. Like the mask. If you look closer, like that alcohol gel, and for all the things there would be natural solutions that would be probably much more effective. Yeah. So
exactly. That reminds me. So talk about the conspiracy theorist guy, which was Jude Law.
Yeah, that's a funny character. I mean, well, the one would say from our perspective it could be a hero or a shill. That's only the
Exactly. Right? Turns out he's a shill.
So, but look, that guy is. That's why I sent you pre-show the Rudolf Steiner quotes that guy is promoting a homeopathic solution, which is
Right.
more close to what we would research, a natural solution.
Right.
And then, of course, this is based on the Rudolf Steiner logic, and that's something I would like to cover. I mean, you can even show the quote if you want. So basically, I sent you two quotes. Rudolf Steiner,
Oh,
who
yeah.
from you guys doesn't know him yet, that is basically that was the mastermind behind all the homeopathic. If you
Oops.
even like, you have
Yeah.
still
I can
on
share the
some.
screen. Hold on. I got to pick which screen though.
No
There it
problem.
is.
Exactly. So exactly. So the first one says, I can read it out. The first one says, "What are viruses?" I mean, the one is in German, unfortunately, because he was German. But anyways, the second one.
Why can't I do this? There we go.
So let me quickly read this because that's important to understand
Yes,
why a
please.
naturopathic approach can make sense and why the whole thing with the COVID might be a big BS. Yeah. So now, Rudolf Steiner, not a stupid guy, 100 years ago, he figured out that basically there is natural solutions to the things, naturopathic practice, and he said basically a virus, is nothing else than a discretion of a toxic cell. Period. So now,
I've heard that.
so
Yep.
it's going to be pieces of RNA or DNA, and that means the cell is poisoned in order to happen something. The virus itself is, and that's important now, the cause of nothing. So that's the key statement of Rudolf Steiner, and also all naturopathic doctors think the same way, until today. But he's the mastermind behind it. So that basically the virus cannot cause the spread. If you understand that logic, we have a problem, right? So that's why, for instance, one of his followers, Dr. Tom Cohen, he went viral with an alternative explanation. He said there's a correlation between COVID occurrences as a symptom, what we call COVID, and the electromagnetic shift of the Earth caused by 4G to 5G shift, like it happened, for instance, in the Spanish flu 100 years ago with a shift to radio technology.
Yes, that's right.
So you need an external, whatever the case might be. That his mindset was you need an external explanation for that symptoms because it cannot be caused by the virus. You need a toxic cell,
Yep.
And the toxic cell need to be caused by something. And that's I think that's the water divider. If you understand that as being truth, you got a problem with all the solutions that they offer to you because they make no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Understand?
Yep.
And then you can count on homeopathic, naturopathic solutions for this situation. And then the second quote is even more interesting because we will talk about the proposed solution in the movie, vaccination, which is obviously the proposed solution of the world right now. WHO and strong interest groups are pushing this. And he said, haven't I told you that the spirits of the darkness are going to inspire their human hosts, that's us, in whom they will be dwelling to find a vaccine that will drive all inclination towards spirituality out of people's souls when they are still very young, and this will happen in roundabout way through the living body, whatever. But the main point is he is telling that the vaccine, that's also one of our thoughts, might have an impact that we don't understand on our souls and spirituality,
Yeah.
And that guy said that 100 years ago, So that is another interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, so that germ theory is a theory that a lot of people have talked about, and it's interesting. Also talks about exosomes, and that we get sick because we're getting rid of some toxins. Now, the one reason I don't totally go along with that is because why do we all get sick at once? Like, why does it happen like within a day I'm sick, the kids are sick all at the same time? So I think there's two things going on, but also viruses aren't alive until they enter your body. If they're real and they exist, they're not alive until they enter your body. They need a host before they can actually work. So to me, that says that okay, if I have to have a host in order to work, then that might be a man-made thing. That might not be a real thing. That might be something that's been created because it's dead. It's not even a living organism. It doesn't exist outside of our bodies in a way. It just doesn't even know what to do, right? Because it just is not even alive until something triggers it to life. So I believe that if viruses are out there, which I do tend to believe that, then they are man-made. That's what I think.
Perfect. So look. There's only, for me, basically, if you want to break it down, three explanations to explain what we are experiencing right now. The first, the whole story is true and we didn't get it and we are wrong.
Right, right,
It could be. I'm not saying no to that, but it's, yeah, okay. There's virus spreading and we are just don't get it, and we are putting our life at risk, not taking the care that they want us to care.
yeah,
Now, could be. We could be wrong. We are men, we are women, so we could be wrong. The second one is Steiner was right, and there must be an external factor. And we had Grandpa Bear just posting here. I just see the post coming up. Grandpa Bear just posting. They're spraying above us a lot of BS, and I have a healer in our team that basically claims they're spraying COVID. So that's another
yeah,
theory.
right,
Again, there's so much. Look, 5G. There's so much connection. External shocks that could together or alone cause the thing.
yeah,
Aerosol transmission could be done in any case. So people with not a strong immunity system, they fall for it, and other
right,
ones they. But then there's a third explanation, and that goes a bit more. What also Steiner said, there's a spiritual part of it. So
absolutely,
everything we experience in the physical realm happens first in the spiritual. We know that. That's
right,
written in scripture. We understand that as Christians. So, but the point is, what if Psalm 91 is right? So if you have that strong protection from the Father, being below His shadow, below the Almighty, so Psalm 91:1, by the way, 9:11, 91:1.
oh
So the
yeah,
first,
okay,
beautiful. So 9:11, the Psalm 9:11 from the Father. If you have that protection, that seal of the Father, you won't get it.
right,
And everybody that doesn't have it will sooner or later fall for any of this BS. And I start to lean to that one, because everything else you lose yourself. The first one, okay, we know it's BS. The second one, it's so complex. I don't know really why the spread and how that works. As you said, it seems that to spread somehow.
yep,
You get the idea?
yep, and I agree with you on that. So, and then somebody said the microwaves also, and mentioned Morgellons, which I think this is another. With syphilis was kind of the first, maybe not the first. Syphilis is the first I know of that had um, that kind of spirochete creation, and then you had Lyme, right? Lyme, where they can't seem to cure it; it just sticks with you forever. And then Morgellons, where people have wires growing out of their skin, and then there's and similarly, they have a lot of the same side effects and symptoms. They all have a lot of the same side effects and symptoms. And then you have this, which I think is the next one, the next type of Morgellons, but maybe better. I don't know. I don't know if it's better or not. I'm not sure if they've gotten to a point where they have made this nanotechnology really work, because I know they've been trying it with food. I know they've been trying it with the spray, and I know that now they're trying it with injections. And this may not be the first injection like that, but this is the first injection that'll actually go in and disrupt your DNA and maybe implant something that will talk to the nanobots. I sound like a total
Sure,
nut job,
operating
probably,
system.
but
But no, BioNTech, the company that was part of developing the technology until Pfizer took over the patent, basically, and now is independent of them. They admitted this. No? It's literally implanting an operating system.
right.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is not a conspiracy theory. That is a fact, and then
Right.
you need to trust the programmer, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Good luck
again,
with that one.
I did a video on that about the spray and the food a long time ago with Morgellons before they even did this. But then I said, what would make people run to get an injection? And I realized it would be a cure, like a cure for cancer, a cure for all our autoimmune stuff, which they probably I'm sure autoimmune diseases are caused by this. Why do people have more gluten problems? Look at how much GMO they spray on the wheat. I mean,
True,
and how
true.
they have to dry it out with poison, just massive amounts of poison to dry out the wheat. And so all these people, I thought it was just a fad. I'm like, oh, these people aren't gluten intolerant. I'm starting to think they really are gluten intolerant. And like this guy in the movie, who's Jude Law, he's supposed to be the guy that's, like you said, he's offering what we would look for, a natural way, which we already know we already know what we can do to find a natural way of treating it. We could get zinc, we can get vitamin C, vitamin D, we can drink tonic water, whatever, silver colloidal silver. And also, it's about boosting your immune system. Get outside, get out in the sun, not be afraid of people, not stand 6 feet, and was 10 feet away in the movie. But it turns out that Jude Law is not a good guy, and he's selling a hoax, and he's making all this money off of it. So I wanted to mention that David is talking about the Morgellons test. You can do that with wine too. I don't know if I totally trust it because there are microorganisms in your spit that can move about and come together like that. But I wouldn't necessarily say you have Morgellons if you get a good positive movement from that. But you might. I don't worry about it because I don't have symptoms. I don't have things coming out of my skin. I don't have itchy feelings. I don't have joint pain. And so whether that test is positive for me is kind of doesn't really matter. Uh, because it could be positive for all of us, possibly.
I mean, all this stuff, yeah. I mean, again, this is the solution that he is referring to, this Jude Law character, of course, being exposed as a shill, is basically, yeah, naturopathic again. So that is, I'm not saying no to these things. I'm trying also with healer and klima bar my temple, try natural solutions for Morgellons. I found out that with the healer that might work, that you just take regularly, what is in English, apple vinegar.
Oh,
Is that
apple
make
cider
sense?
vinegar. Uh-huh.
Apple cider vinegar. So that if you have a good one, this kind of kill. My grandmother knew it already, so she survived
Yeah.
2 world wars. That kills everything, right? Some
Yeah,
people even
I've
say
heard
it's
that.
better to clean your hands than
Oh,
alcohol
I'm
today,
sure.
So that one apparently they don't like, and they would be dead by or any means if you take that regularly. So that is something that sometimes the solutions are so simple, yeah. But if that's your only hope, again, we come back to the spiritual part. I tend you need to have a very strong faith for what's coming, guys. If we don't have that shield, that that armor of our Creator, and really this Psalm 91, battle attitude, I think we will. I mean, it will fall at one point also, because it's too much attacks, from all sides. I don't know how you see it.
One thing I remembered is that this Dr. Gupta, that this CDC doctor goes on live TV with, is an actor. And I had seen something about this before, but it didn't click. It didn't click. This Dr. Gupta that's in the movie is the same Dr. Gupta that goes on our current live mainstream media and says he's a doctor and is giving medical advice about this virus
Is that
today.
true?
It is the same guy. I'm not kidding you. Like I said, I knew I had seen it before, but I'd never watched the movie, so I didn't know what they were referring to, and I just didn't pay that much attention. But I just figured, yeah, of course he's an actor. That makes sense. So the same Dr. Gupta who gets Lawrence Fishburne on TV for an interview is the Dr. Gupta that is on CNN today giving medical advice for the COVID. Absolutely
That's
unreal.
fantastic, because that shows that fiction becomes scripted fiction, so it's all
Yep.
fiction. The ones who say, I mean, my point of view. We live in a scripted reality
Yeah.
show. Timothy has said, I think one in another chat he said, is horror show, whatever you want to call it, but it's the same thing. It's the same idea.
Yep, it's
So
just actors and it's just useful idiots just paid off to do all this stuff. But I had just remembered that because, well, I didn't just remember it. I was looking through the notes, but I'm like, oh my gosh, what? And that's where I got kind of mad because I said I got mad watching some of this because it infuriates me that we have fallen, not you and me, and not the people that are listening, but that so many have fallen for this. That so many people are like, yeah, this is I'm going to wear my mask. I'm doing the right thing. I'm going to get my injection and I'm going to do my part and I'm going to wear my You know what I wanted to do is I wanted to walk into a place that would make me wear a mask to walk in if there was one. There's not here, but if I went somewhere and they said you have to wear a mask to walk in here, I'd say, "Oh no, I'll just walk in here without it and then sit down and put it on," which is just makes just as much sense as if I walked in here with it on and then took it off when I sat down. It got me so frustrated that people are just all too happy to wear their mask. We don't have a mask mandate anymore here, and yet most people are still wearing them. And then this guy tells me today, he's like, I'm fully vaccinated. And I said, well, yikes, I'll pray for you. And he goes, oh, I didn't have any side effects. I said, just give it time, man. Just give it time.
sure. Sure.
they're happy to tell you about it. I'm fully vaccinated.
I mean, the first group is the majority. We said it, no? That people that believe this official narrative, that think that the solution is coming, that the WHO are the heroes, no?
Yeah.
In the movie was city.
Thank you, CDC and WHO in this movie, because oh yeah, they save everybody. They're just such good people. They're even trying the vaccine on themselves in this movie before to make sure it works. I mean, they're just so altruistic.
Yeah, Timothy said something smart again here. One day I need to talk to that guy. He has already
He's in
pictured
the
him in another. Sorry?
he's in the Discord as Rakya and Rolya. So
Okay.
look for
Okay.
that,
We
and
need to.
not spelled with a C and a K, but spelled with a Q and a U. And it takes me a while, you guys, to remember who everybody is with their usernames in Discord and their real names. It drives me nuts because I'm like, I don't want to get this wrong. I think that's who this is. Anyway, in fact, I have someone that is messaging me from Instagram that I think must be in the Discord, and I haven't figured out who it is yet. So if you're Scott from Instagram and you're in my Discord, please let me know what your username is. But
That's it.
anyway, yeah.
But
Anyway,
anyway, he has a smart comment here. I want to just read that before we
go
lose that.
ahead.
Got that from Dana Ashley. Okay, another truther. She interviewed a Harp Morgellons whistleblower about the solution here that he had there earlier. What was it? Apple cider and
Apple
what was the
cider
solution?
vinegar and
And
borax.
borax. Borax. Okay,
Yep, I
that's
have borax. I've been a little bit hesitant to want to try it, but I've heard that. So like I said though, I've been hesitant to want to try it. And Felix says, I believe most politicians and CDC officials are getting saline injections and not actually the vaccine. Absolutely. That's why I thought it was so funny, because in this movie, they're pretending that they're all getting them first, for us to make sure they work.
sure. You know what? It's so funny. Why we have all these pictures worldwide from top leaders, let's say Netanyahu, Israel, completely ridiculously staged. You have look at just a Netanyahu picture if you can pull it up, yeah. So
Oh,
you see him on a stage
sure.
being basically vaccinated, but with a guy that not even wears gloves, no mask, nothing. It's so amateur, and it's obviously he doesn't put the needle in. So it's like you see pictures like this all over the world. Why they do it so
Yeah, and the
obvious?
guy's not wearing any
That's my question.
gloves.
Sorry.
The guy that injects him is not wearing any
Exactly.
gloves.
Exactly.
It'll
It is
take me a
completely
second.
unprofessional,
It'll take me a second to
and
share
staged,
this.
obviously staged. So why would they do this? That's my question. Why they're creating let's say fire into the conspiracy theorist world, right?
Yeah, so here's this guy holding. I don't know if you can see this. I think you can see this, right? He's
Yeah.
like, look at me. I've got a shot with no gloves. Here I go. Oh no, do it on this side. Oh, sure. I don't need. This is the side I want. Oh, it's very specific. Oh,
Come
you're
on,
for
that's
your.
so badly staged, guys. There's so much.
Well,
This is hilarious.
I'm
It's
wiping this
hilarious.
off with a dry cloth. That thing is dry. That thing has no alcohol on it. It's
But
dry.
now watch the needle.
Oh,
This
oh
no professional
no. Need,
medical practitioner would ever look how he holds it.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
so. I mean, he'd be touching where your blood was touching with no gloves at all. And this is just going around the world as a great and normal thing. Yay, look at what he did. He's
give
such
me
a
a
good
break. This
guy.
is staged. I mean, but this is so obviously staged. My point is, come on, we pay for this acting, yeah, with our taxes. Someone make
Yeah,
it
right.
professional, you know? Give me a
Yes.
break.
And how many times were they pretending to push the plunger? There was one pretending to push the plunger, but it's already down. You know, Fauci getting the injection in one arm and then later he's rubbing the other arm. Yep, that's another one.
Yeah, there's another one. But it's worldwide, I can tell you. I mean, really, I'm fortunate because of my position. I speak 4 languages, so I can the whole
Oh,
Spanish-speaking, Portuguese-speaking world, and the English and the German-speaking world. That covers quite a bit of the West, let's say.
yeah.
So everywhere in the West, it was like this. All politicians, all leaders, and now we have this the main point here, Prince Philip.
Oh,
You
poor
know,
Prince Philip. He's a goner.
he took 2 months before, supposedly, the vaccine. Just to well, but he was 99. What?
And
Or did he
yeah,
really die? Do we know?
99 on the ninth.
Yes,
99 on the
that's
ninth.
that seems to be. And 99 bells this ritual, no? They like these rituals, no?
Yes, they
This
love
they
to give
love
their
them.
Illuminati shout outs. And then DMX also recently passed, and they said it was a heart attack. Oh no, no, at first it was drugs, and they said, oops, that it was a heart attack, and he had, according to his family, just had his jab a few days before he died of his heart attack.
Look, 99 bells every 60 seconds. 99, 6, reverse,
Yep,
cold, same thing. So we have the
clearing.
6 there.
Yep.
At 6 o'clock in European writing, it's 18. So 18 is another 6, 6,
Yes,
6.
it
You have a
is.
double. It's crazy.
Which is
Yes,
why
I mean, this
those
is so obvious,
which
you
is
know?
why those shoes from that one creepy homosexual rap artist were $1,018 because the 18 was 666
And wasn't it 666 pieces? And I think it was custom made
six
66.
yeah 666 shoes with a cc of blood and red ink. But again, red ink is what they use to sign their soul off with, right? So
Yeah.
when they sell their
Well,
soul.
but becoming off topic. But anyways, there was one comment. We are in a movie. Yes, we are in a scripted reality show, and that kind of movies somehow prepare our mind
Yeah,
for this. I think that's
predictive
how that works.
programming.
I cannot explain it better, but this predictive programming is real. Yeah? It's kind of a mind control. You need to see it before a couple of times, and then when it comes into the stage reality, you start to tend, if you're a sheep, to accept it.
Yep.
Somehow that is my best explanation why they do this. I don't know what's your view.
uh
No.
well, it's predictive programming, yes. Why they do it, I don't think it's exactly that they have to tell us what they're doing. I think that's part of the ritual, is telling us. It includes us
Okay.
in their ritual. Now, they may have to tell us. I'm not really sure, but it's certainly part of their ritual. And David mentions MK Ultra. Definitely, there's something to the traumatizing of our minds with that too. It's traumatizing, to have a woman and her little boy die in only 2 days, and all these other people dying, and then the woman that's pregnant. That's a traumatizing thought. It traumatizes our minds to think that that could happen, and then that puts a good fear. When this first started last year, well, it didn't just start last year. A lot of us, including you, I'm sure, we were looking at this when it was in China. We knew about this back in November the year before. We saw this coming. I'm like, I know that we. In fact, we had a few people that were like, "Oh, let's buy up mask, gloves, and blah blah blah." And I did. I bought that stuff just in case. But I also use masks for spraying my weeds because I don't really want to get cancer from killing my weeds. So I use them for practical things or cleaning out really gross apartments where there's massive dust, and I help my landlord out. So, but there was people that are like, you need to people in our community that was like, I got to get all this stuff, and I said, what do you want to do? Like, be the last one living? If it's that deadly, then we're just gonna, I'm like, let's just go. It's just time for us to go. If it's that bad, but
But I hear you kind of are open to still for the bio warfare.
well,
Let's
if I
say
think a
explain.
virus is man-made, then yeah, then why wouldn't this be?
But you need to understand that our, I mean, also that is questionable, but our elite, the Rockefellers, the Rothschild, all this satanic bloodline representatives here on this earth, that they live on the same plane of existence. So then either they have an anti-poison, ready available, or they also can be wiped out. Isn't that so risky? That's my
That's what,
question.
yeah, and that's a good point. Is there's nothing out there. The question is there something even at all? And somebody's going to say, well, I had it because I got really sick. But you might have gotten really sick anyway. You might have just gotten really sick. And this whole
I have
like,
a question. I have a
okay,
question to your listeners, because we have now 30 people watching. Anyone here in this chat had to do seriously to do with these symptoms commonly referred to as COVID-19? Anyhow, I had dry cough, problems with the lungs. I don't know, all these things that
there were
people.
so many symptoms. They became diarrhea and nausea. And again, what are we test? If they were going to start testing the fecal matter, then we're looking at a parasite, not a virus or a lung infection. They wanted to start swabbing anal. They are doing anal swabs. I mean, and they want to start testing fecal matter, and they're giving hydroxychloroquine, which and what's the other one? Oh, somebody's going to know what the other one is. No, I can't think of it. Anyway, they're two like anti-malaria drugs or anti-parasitics, why does an antiparasitic work, and if we're testing it, they're changing the rules all the time, what it is. I mean, okay, so somebody got real tired, no energy, no antibodies. How can they check for antibodies if they haven't isolated this? They haven't even isolated a microorganism. They can't check for antibodies. By the way, that thing they stick up your nose is not checking for antibodies. It's a PCR test. You know about that, right, YAHSON?
Yes,
Right.
yes, the PCR. By the way, PCR test, but we have some, in our core team, we have some statistic guys and also some pharmaceutical company representatives that now try to go to the good side of things. And not everybody that works in the pharmaceutical company is a bad guy. They sometimes really don't know what they're doing. And that's my firm understanding. Most of the people in the system don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Like a nurse, she gives all the chemicals to the patient and wants to help, right? But
Right.
she has no clue what she's doing. It is what it is.
True.
So, but anyways, they say the PCR test, like the founder said that was passing away suddenly, of this. That doesn't tell nothing. So if you look at it, really, essentially, it has really no value statistically. No? So there's so much false negatives. If you go into this, it's not my topic, yeah, but it's really not reliable, 100% not reliable for the purpose of they claim it should have. It's well.
My nose always itches when I go live, so if it, just so you guys know, I'm rubbing my nose because it's just a live thing. It just happens to be a live thing. But a few people, like Felix says, someone he worked with got sick, but he never got sick. His wife didn't get sick. His kids didn't get sick. Timothy's never worn a mask, neither have I. And we only did it to get through the front door of the YMCA when they required it, but then we took him off immediately after we got through. Ringen says we had a strong flu. My mom, when she got sick this year, she got sick with something there. She was just out of it. She just didn't. She was just out of it. Like she was almost like she was drunk, but she wasn't, and she could breathe. Yeah, itchy nose is symptoms. Oh gosh, itchy
The
nose.
new one, the new virus just
But
started.
yeah, so when she went to the hospital, they didn't test her for anything. I mean, they did blood work, and they checked her blood pressure and things like that, but they didn't test her for influenza. They didn't test her for, anything else. They tested her for COVID and it came out positive, and the doctors know. I was a PA, and the doctors, they do these medical trainings with certain drugs, and they're pushing you to use those drugs. So they pushed them to do this test. And whether I knowingly get a kickback or not, I would go to these meetings where they would push these drugs and say, like, we got to use these drugs, and here's why. Its efficacy is so great, and it works on these people. And really, the drug is just a newer, more expensive drug. So I'm sure whether the doctors believed they were getting kickbacks or not, they had some kind of meeting where they got together and said, we've got to push this test, and this test only. And I don't know how they convinced them not to do influenza tests or anything else. I don't know how they must be getting paid. We know that because we saw that there was some $30,000 kickback if you just had a positive patient, or maybe it was 30,000 if they were on a vent and 10,000 if they were positive. I don't remember what it was because I haven't been looking at it for so long. Airborne Sane says, "What is going on here? What in the fake pandemic is going on here?" Yes, what pandemic, right? We were talking about the movie Contagion, and now we're kind of talking about the real life events. But yeah, anyway,
No, but you cannot separate the two.
yeah, can't.
Look, like that's true though. No? What you just said is very important. We said, okay, maybe he was wrong on the homeopathic solution of it. Maybe he was wrong. Let's supposing maybe he was also even biased and conflict of interest, like the movie, whatever the case might be. Maybe he was a shill, but still he can say part of the truth. He said that the WHO is and big pharma are corrupting this thing, and that is not the only solution to go to vaccine, and maybe it's not even a solution. Yeah. So in this point, they were valid and they're completely in line with what we are saying. But the trick of the mainstream is if you have one mistake, everything else is wrong too. And you cannot be right all the time. We all are liars. We are men. We are women. How can we be right all the time? We are blessed if we are speaking truth by the Holy Spirit, and then we have some light, that we can share. But we also say in every second maybe something wrong, and then if you say one thing wrong, everything else was wrong. That's how it works. But not for them. For them, it's not. For the mainstream, it doesn't work this way. If they do something wrong, that doesn't work.
There's no accountability for them.
No,
and you've got people, now you've got people like Mark Zuckerberg giving medical advice who isn't a doctor, which Bill Gates has been doing forever. But
True.
we get banned off the platform if we give medical advice.
True.
We can't give medical advice. We can't tell somebody to. And that was another thing is on in this show, the guy Jude Law, the conspiracy theorist who had a huge following, interestingly enough, was some kind of journalist. He was going to tell people not to get the vaccine, and they're like, he's a bad guy for that, and they were going to arrest him, and then he got bailed out somehow. But he was the bad guy because he was going to warn people against. That was really predictive programming to make us the bad guy to warn people against this vaccine. That was definitely predictive programming.
You are literally being censored. I have friends of mine also on smaller channels that tried to touch this topic, yeah, vaccine, and they've been blocked out of their channels.
Yeah.
That's why I'm reconsidering to interview Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. As you know, she's a
Right.
strong
Yeah.
anti-vax activist in the
Definitely
US,
should.
and she warned people very bluntly and openly that this is part of depopulation agenda, which is going on for a longer time, but now culminates in something really serious that we cannot control anymore. 3 to 6 months, that operating system is dormant in you, she claims, very clear, and then it will literally kill all of that are not strong enough to survive it. Yeah, period. So that is, I mean, this is serious business. If she's right, come on, we're talking about genocide here. That is a different thing. But if you cover something like this, you're gonna be blocked by your YouTube. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's it.
I have been blessed so far, so Lord, I pray that we continue, that we continue to be blessed. But I haven't had any issues as of late, with the YouTube channel or with Facebook. But I'm not constantly posting on that, nor do I even talk about it all that often. Especially lately, I've been talking a lot about cryptocurrency. So what I wanted to do, as you guys know, is bring the channel back to, bringing power back into our lives and learning how to do all those things. So I see that there's Murray in the chat, and I think he's saying he got a shot. And if he did, I'm wondering which one. Moderna? Mildern? I wonder, is that supposed to be Moderna? Anyway, yeah, I'm glad you haven't had any side effects yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, physically, I think it's a high risk to take a vaccine that is untested and that we push through all controls with a new, partially new technology that have never been tested. And now we do a live test, literally. So I think that's I mean, and again, what is the risk? Currently, we talk about a mortality rate of 1%, give it or take.
Yeah.
That's a fact. I mean, and so that logic, yeah, I rather take an untested vaccine versus I take 99 chance that I don't get an issue. That's for me a good example how insane our world is.
Yeah.
And how far they're away from reality. They believe fear-mongering propaganda that repeats 1,000 dead here, 1,000 dead there, but they never put it into perspective. How many have been dying last year? How many dying overall in the population? All that statistic. This is fear-mongering. That's completely panic-making. It's contrary of what the movie also, by the way, claims. That the movie claims we cannot stress the population. We should keep it profile, yeah. Otherwise, we have panic. And here, in reality, we do see the difference. Now there was supposedly an elephant. They made it a mouse, and now they make a mouse an elephant. That's a bit.
Yeah.
That's not a parallel. That's a bit different, yeah. What do you think?
Well, I'm noticing in the chat there's Murray did get the Moderna, and several people's family members got shots, and also Airborne Saint had a friend who had a stroke, and that's one of the things that we're seeing is blood clots from these shots. People are getting blood clots. So whether it's a heart attack, so if DMX died of a heart attack, that's a blood clot. If it's a stroke, that's a blood clot. If you hear of a pulmonary embolism, also a blood clot. And Murray's not worried because we're all going to die eventually. Well, that's true. What we warn more against here is the mark. That's what we worry more about. And if this is predictive programming to guilt us into being bad, if we don't want people to we don't want to save lives, right? To guilt us into getting an injection that we don't want to get, when we're as Christ followers of Yahuwah, we are worried about getting something that would actually change our God-given DNA, our Yah-made DNA, into something that is serpent DNA, like the serpent seed of the garden. And so that's our biggest concern, is not so much that you're going to die from this, which would be totally crummy, we don't want you to die from this because it could have been avoided, but that you may be getting into a situation that you can't turn around for your salvation. So if you don't want to get the shot, then don't get the shot. We absolutely won't. And our fear for you, Murray, or anyone that's so willing to get it is, when will it be the one that takes your ability to have salvation, and now you become the hive mind drone, which is why they're putting the nanobots in you in the first place, and why they want to turn those on in a certain way, which they've tried, and it hasn't quite been successful, because for some reason we seem to push out these nanobots, most of us, unless we get Lyme or Morgellon, and then for some reason we haven't been able to push them out or get rid of them the way that those people can't do. But what they're trying to do is make you a superconductor. So they put the metal in you, the nanobots and everything, and then they use a far away like pulse to switch you on and off and turn us into a hive mind mentality where we're just going to do the same things. Did you guys see the movie Aliens and Cowboys and Aliens? That movie totally explained it. I mean, these people were like, their faces were clouded over, and they just stood here while the aliens took all the gold. I mean, sounds like the Sumerian mythology, where they're coming for the gold on Earth, and everybody's put into this like stupor, and they can't do anything unless they break the thing that the superconductor that's doing it to them. Now, so NPC says antenna for spirits. It's exactly right. It's also another way so that they don't have to do skull scraping, transmutation. They don't have to push our conscious out. They can just now enter, because our conscious is no longer available. Our Yah created conscious is no longer available. They'll push that out. Yep. So if you want to say
But
something
Ari,
on that.
no, let's slow down. I mean, you're completely right with probably with all your assessment. But for somebody like Murray that just took a shot, he probably is on a different stage of knowing what's going on. Yeah. So
that's why we got to warn him now.
I mean, this sounds probably too far off is reality. I mean, Mary, you have your own. Like everybody has his own choice. That's our Creator gave our choice. You will live with the consequences. That's it. Period. You have no. It's unpredictable. If somebody took the vaccine, it's unpredictable what will happen. Physically and spiritually, we don't know what's going to happen. It's speculation. There's a lot of indications, but there's smart doctors that I trust, like Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. Check it out. She warned about this since a long time, but now really pushing the alarm bell. Yeah. Or Dr. Tom Cohen, a smart guy also. He has been now taking away his medical license, but this is for me alarming signs. Smart guys that's speaking out against vaccine. If I'm getting pushed out of the system, well, this guys we should listen to. That's my humble view. But okay, everybody needs to, everybody needs to know what he's doing. I mean, we cannot give a medical advice here, and we won't. Yeah, so everybody needs to take that choice. Yeah, but I think it's alarming. Yeah, just the fact, if you don't know all the things with the mark, that this might be related. Just the fact that they have pushed through all controls in way too short time, a new approach of vaccine, basically, and they do a live test on mankind. That is for me enough to say, sorry, it's my body, my choice, game over. I won't, no.
Right.
Other one, you go first, I'm not doing this.
Right, and we're not giving medical advice like you said. What we're doing is advising against anything that could cause an end to your salvation. That's what we're here for. And if we didn't warn people, then I think it would be very wrong not to warn people. World Bigfoot says there is no vax. All they have is experimental RNA rewriter that they are pushing. Exactly. You should not call it a vaccine, because that is not what it is. It's a DNA changer. RNA is part of how you replicate and change DNA, especially if it mutates. As far as we understand. So if we're going to put something in there, which also, by the way, guess what a virus does? Is it drops its RNA into your body. It has an RNA mechanism, and that's how it becomes active in your body. Sounds pretty man-made to me. So anyway, yeah.
I mean, anytime, if you look in his story, as far as you can give credit to what they tell us in the official records. Yeah, let's take the official narrative. As every time you had the approach of a human savior in history, that never went good out for that specific part the world or people, think about, our history, Germans, Second World War. There was one strong man, coming, and now we solve your issue here. We had a lot of issues, a lot of people unemployed, starving, and every time there's a human savior,
Yeah.
name it. There's not one that officially they claim to act for the greater good, but there was not one that fulfilled the promise.
Right.
Why we are so stupid not learning from history? Why nobody looks from to the Spanish flu? What happened there? Why we don't look to the history? Why we don't learn? It's one of my questions I have. I think we are very, I don't know. We have a tendency to forget the past what hurts very
Yes.
fast, and I don't
Yes.
know. What do you think? Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why when I went live with ARC recently, if you guys have seen it, we went through old newspaper articles that talked about people wearing masks from 18 to 20, right, during the Spanish flu, and that they had women making masks. The Freemason women were making masks in the Freemason temple for everybody, and they were people were pushing back on the mask. A guy got shot because he didn't want to wear a mask. We pulled up all these different articles, and again, they didn't have as good of indoctrination then because all they had was newspaper, not news everywhere you go on the TV in the airports or, I was noticing when I watched Mr. Robot, there was TVs and news broadcasting all the time, whether they were in the elevator, whether they were in a cab, whether they were walking down the street, there'd be just constant like TVs and news. And so there's much more of that now where they can propagandize. But yeah, this went on in 18 to 20. So many similar things that we're seeing right now went on during that Spanish flu alleged pandemic, epidemic, whatever you want to call it, whatever the reason for it was. But there they are sewing up masks back then, the same thing. There they are charging people a fine if they won't make people wear masks in their businesses. They charge like a $10 fine to a barber, which is a pretty big fine back in 1918, 1919, 1920. So very similar things, and yet I didn't know that. He didn't know that before they found the articles, and everybody watching didn't know that. So none of us knew that this had kind of already happened, but it gave us a little bit of hope because we're like, maybe we'll kind of move past this and everybody will ditch the masks all over again. I don't know. I think we go in cycles. Everybody else wants to say, this is the end, this is the end, we're in the tribulation, starting now, or, September 23rd, da, 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 da. But I say it's possibly just another cycle because it's happened before, but none of us knew that. None of us knew it.
Yeah, for sure. I was just before I forget, there were some details in the movie. Vaccine. I don't know if you noticed this. When they had the 33rd try of the vaccine, they showed that picture there.
I
Come on,
did
give me a
miss
break.
that. Darn it, I
That's
did miss that.
no, but there was 33rd, and then 57 went the one that she put herself, and then saved humanity, supposedly. But 33 was they showed only 2-1. And of course, then it's Minnesota population 33, and so it's ridiculous. Whatever. There was a lot of Masonic, Illuminati references, and one thing was interesting. When they decided to show the logistics about the vaccine, they showed a picture about the containers. And what was the most prominent name of the shipping company that was shown there?
Was it?
What do you
It
think?
was the Red Cross.
No.
Or FEMA.
Before when they distributed, when they showed the shipping, the containers, the huge containers, they showed a container hub. I don't know which one it was. Maybe a huge, bigger one in the U.S. And then they showed all the huge containers, being ready to be shipped. So anyway, it was evergreen. So that
was my next guess if it was evergreen.
Yeah, that was evergreen. So
they
were green and white evergreen containers all over the place, and I thought that's so interesting. I mean, come on, what a coincidence! I mean, of course, it's a huge Taiwanese shipping company, but come on, a Taiwanese shipping company, there might be other options if it's a Western vaccine, So and it's somehow. It's somehow just evergreen. A remarkable coincidence again.
Just a coincidence. Also interesting is all the Red Cross and the FEMA had food for everybody, and just they had people in a stadium. They were putting the sick in the stadium. They were doing vaccines in a stadium. Long lines of people waiting to get it, and with their masks on. And of course, the one guy who somehow what do you call it, immune to it. He doesn't have to wear a mask, the main guy. And there was something I was going to say. Oh, what was it? Oh, so on the synopsis, listen to this. Jude Law character is seen. This is written in the synopsis. Jude Law is the character is seen back on the street on day 135, resuming his video blog of videotaping long lines at vaccination centers and then going back to his apartment to make more lies and groundless accusations about the U.S. government being responsible for the origins of the virus for personal profit to his millions of duped internet followers. I mean, that's in the synopsis itself. That's unbelievable.
Look, but I also in parallel just one of the members of our True Think Tank team. He's pushing the idea that basically this what we are experiencing, also what has been partially shown by the movie Contagious, is basically based on the blueprint of the Rockefeller Foundation lockstep scenario. I don't know if you came across this.
Oh yeah, we've seen it.
And just listen to that, guys. Just one paragraph. Yeah? Phase 1 includes a mild cold flu that the media will exaggerate to induce mass paranoia and fear.
Yep.
Check. And inflation of COVID-19 case numbers. Check.
Yep.
Phase 2 and 3 are marked by a weakened immune system due to mass social distancing, exposure to 5G radiation and other weaponized things, and a widespread refusal to get vaccinated against COVID-19. Check. But then will be an anarchy from all sides between the vaccinated and unvaccinated. But what I think is here underrated, there will be another phase. What I think that Dr. Sherry Tenpenny might be right. That we will see now officially a deadly mutation, which is already breeding in Brazil, by the way, where I am at. No? I mean, if you believe the official narrative, they say already Brazil, because of that Christian crazy president here, Bolsonaro, he did no appropriate actions. So now we have the perfect breeding conditions for whatever horror virus you can imagine. And now we will see probably a 30% killer virus, which is, or might be, a cover-up for the side effects, the collateral damage done by, I don't speak it out. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So somebody gave a thumbs down, and I assume it was Murray, but I can't prove it. Somebody's like, that's not cool. I'm like, I'm kind of just joking. I don't know if he did or not. I usually get at least one thumbs down, you guys, so it's okay. At least, like I said, Murray, share this with your enemies, please. Share it with the people you don't like, and maybe we'll wake some people up. I don't know.
That's fine. There's always somebody not happy.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful it's not more. Usually, it's I've been very blessed with this channel that we don't get. I have some really great wrenched people, moderators, but they really don't have to do hardly any work on here because we just don't get mean people. It's okay if somebody comes in with an alternate opinion. We don't mind that either. So we just really don't get trolls around here. It's pretty nice. But thanks, Airborne Saint, for the thumbs up. I know most of you did. Let's see. I did want to mention, unless you're not done, I wanted to mention something else about this movie that I thought was kind of funny. Unless you had more to say.
We have again the evergreen echo here. Evergreen, I think that's it's not only in this movie. Yeah. This evergreen containers, if you look at it now, it's funny. If you buy a new car,
right.
You see, your perception works like so. Yeah, if you buy a new car, you've never paid attention. Now you see that car everywhere. I don't know if you ever noticed this.
Yeah.
The same thing now with the
right.
container. The evergreen container. The whole world has seen this evergreen container, and now you see it in all the movies. I mean, that could also be this case, but why is it in all the movies?
It's also, and we were just talking about it on Friday, that it was in Dexter when Dexter is found by the guy that becomes his dad or whatever in a pool of blood in a shipping container, and it's an evergreen shipping container.
There you go.
Same idea. And then NPC brought up that, what did you bring up? You brought up a couple of movies, and in one of those movies, it was the one where they had the Umbrella Corporation. It was a video game, I think. He'll tell me again. And they had a meeting with all the higher ups in this movie, because this is another thing I tell people. I'm like, just because it looks like the end doesn't mean it is, because they were having this meeting where they were saying, we're going to push the Armageddon, we're going to make it happen, we're going to do it on our terms. And I'm like, that they can do a lot of things to try to push the end and try to push Armageddon. Resident Evil, thank you. and and that doesn't mean it's God's time to do it. That doesn't mean it's Yah's time to come and, or Yahusha's time to come home. It means they're trying to push something in their favor, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen. So I want to make that point.
Can I add to this?
Yeah.
What you just said is excellent, because they refer to this movie, no? Resident Evil, no? That is
Right. Resident Evil. Yeah.
Basically this
Number
what's
5,
an Umbrella Corporation logo, no? Which is, I think, the Malta Knights or something. Actually, no? There's some deeper symbolism behind it. And anyways, in that scenario, this big boss there on the table showing the plan, no?
Yeah.
That we will script
Right.
Armageddon, as I said. No? We will play the Revelation, we play Apocalypse, no? Because it will end, but if it will end on our terms. No? That's basically the mindset of Lucifer, no? It ended on our terms.
Yes.
So now, let's do it. What is he proposing as the solution? Killer virus. Do you remember this? Even in that movie, it was effectively, I don't know, virus Z.
Yeah, there was a lot of other coincidences too. Yep, a lot.
Yeah.
So Murray says, this is all about pushing your agenda without a discussion. I think he meant to say. Okay, sure. Yeah, we're not discussing. It's just pushing an agenda. Oh, without any discussion. I think we are discussing, but... And in my research, I found, this is Rhonda, in my research, I found 6 movies other than those mirroring this scandemic with the Evergreen. I wonder if she's talking about the Evergreen. Anyway, at the end of this movie, it's kind of funny because they do this flashback, and what they do is at the end of the movie they show that, guess what, it's not a bioweapon from the government. Literally, a bat eats a banana, and the banana falls on the ground. Will said it. I'm going to put that comment back up. He said bleeding. Maybe it was bleeding. I'm not sure. But the bat's eating a banana. The banana falls on the ground. The pig eats the banana. The chef cooks the pig. Gets called for a picture. Doesn't wash his hands. Jerry Seinfeld moment that he didn't wash his hands, right? But, very, very funny because it somehow became a virus from a bat to a pig because they ate the same banana. And it's not the government. Don't worry. Wow.
But yes, and that wasn't also at one point that the theory that this came from a bat in Wuhan. There was pictures of this market in the bat market. Again, another parallel, coincidence or not? No.
Yeah, so, no, it's not a coincidence at all. Of course not.
But one step back, again, we have the 3 cases. You believe in the virus spread story in different degrees. You somehow still believe it, yeah. The second one, Rudolf Steiner and all this naturopathic, no, it cannot cause us, but it needs an exogenic or external shock to your system to cause a toxic cell, what we then call a virus. And then the third one is, it's purely spiritual. Yeah. You have protection by the Heavenly Father. Whatever weapons being formed against you, like Doc wrote beautifully here, cannot be successful. Yeah, so that we will see 1,000 fallen left, 10,000 to the right, whatever the case might be. It will not get near thee. So that is that idea. So I think I tend to a mix of both. Yeah, of course you need common sense. We're living in this realm, so you need to. If somebody points a weapon at you, if you just say Psalm 91 and he shoots, you die. So that's something that is that is pretty much obvious. But so you need a combination of both. I think good common sense, good healthy common sense, and the protection of the Heavenly Father, which is giving you that common sense. Yeah. So that is.
NBC asked if this was the movie where the plant was the cure. No, they somehow got a more virulent version from Africa, and they were able to create vaccine. I kind of missed how that happened, and I kind of missed why Lawrence Fishburne was in trouble for it. But again, he's so altruistic that he forgoes getting his vaccination and gives it to a little boy that already has autism, or no, ADHD. That's what it was. I was like, the CDC is so altruistic with foregoing his own vaccine to give it to a little kid. Bravo, CDC. They are just such good
I like guys. That one. Will Batman wash his hands? That's hilarious also. You know what? if you know that the second group here, or the third group that I always say, could be right, that they are protected either by natural means or by no, higher forces. So then this whole hand washing in the first place is insane. What are the most healthiest kids on this
They're the
earth? The
dirtiest
ones
ones,
that play in the
gross
dirt
ones.
and live on the farm, you know, and they every day with germs. Give me a break. This whole approach can be insane. The
Yep.
sterilizing, you know, this is
Yes.
maybe a matter of insanity also. What do you think?
Yep, because I watched a show just on that. There, you remember the guy that did the show, the movie Super Size Me, where he ate nothing but McDonald's for a month, and he got so sick and unhealthy and depressed, and his liver enzymes shot up, and it was really, really bad. And he did it for 30 days to prove a point. Well, that same guy did a show for a while called 30 Days, and he had, like, he would have people live in some environment they weren't used to. So, like, he had a left liberal gun hating woman live with guns with people in the country who shoot guns with their kids all day. And by the end of it, she had an appreciation for guns and even got her concealed weapons permit and bought a gun. It was great. And then they had another one where there was a family that was just gross. And this could have, you know, it's kind of like wife swap, but it's not. It was a whole family event, and on this one, but they had this family that literally ate stuff that got moldy. Like they didn't even care. They would just eat the grossest things, and the cheese could get moldy. They'd leave the food out. They didn't really. They'd eat raw meat, stuff like that, just gross. And then they had the family that was super clean, like bleaching everything, making their son be super clean. Just it's just over the top the other way, and they kind of like made them come together. And what it is to try to get two people on the opposite spectrum to understand each other. But interestingly enough, these kids that were eating this really gross sounding stuff, like just rotten stuff that's aged forever, rare if not raw meat, were totally healthy. They were totally fine. And you got to think that these people that are bleaching the heck out of their house and making their son be so clean, he's just going to do nothing but get sick all his life because he hasn't had any exposure to anything. Now I'm not again, was trying to they took two very extreme ends and brought them together, but that's kind of where we're going, is we're getting these very extreme ends and we're not finding a way to come together in the middle at all. So that's what, yeah, we don't need all that cleaning. It's just not good for you, especially if was it wife swap? Okay, well, he did do a show like that, was 30 Days, but his was the gun one for sure. But anyway, same idea, where they swapped these families, and it was just two very extremes, and the kids were fine. So yeah, I think that people, you got to get exposed to germs and stuff, because and you can boost your own immune system by eating healthy foods or taking vitamins if you can't get the healthiest foods because you live in a city, something like that.
Makes sense to me, but the problem is the majority won't get it. No?
Yeah. So, well,
but we talked to the few, right? That 40
with those
upright
with
people, yeah.
those with ears to hear and eyes to see. And
That's it.
hey, Benz, I tagged you in the Discord earlier today. It's time for you to upgrade your cryptocurrency wallet, buddy. Anyway, he's never around.
Always in business, Aaron.
He's never around. I have to get his attention when he comes around, and it's so difficult. So Murray says my cousin was washing his hands so much he ended up with cracked hands. Well, yeah, that's another thing. And like now you've got cracks in your hands, and now you've got exposure to more bacteria in the cracks of your super dry hands because you washed them so much. So if you don't have lotion, don't wash your hands so much, I guess is a good indication there. Try a food called pemmican. It's Native American kind of health bar and is made out of dried meat and dried fruit, and they grind it up and mix it. I've seen that before. Mix it with tallow. Felix says I've seen that before. I've seen it. I might try it. Ben's been busy. Well, okay, so what did we not cover that you want to cover? Is there anything in the movie you remember that you wanted to
I mean,
go over?
we basically outlined at the beginning. It was a parallel with the Chicago story that they came in by Chicago. No? We had the parallel with the end that was revealed at the end only with the bed. No? And then it came from the east to the west. So there's a lot of parallels. But I think this idea of a really dangerous killer virus we will see now in the next phase.
Yeah, that's possible.
I think this will happen now. They are preparing this. I mean, this guys, brace yourself. This is gonna be really panic theater. I had to clean my head, from people around me going panicking and always, I cannot go out anymore. Now it's really dangerous. It starts really real in Brazil because of course, if you partially believe the official narrative, there's people dying like thousands of people every day now, and they're pushing really the panic button now here in Brazil.
Hmm.
But of course, it's part of the plan to have then a killer mutation spreading from the west, southwest this time, over to the world. So that will come to you guys officially soon, and that will be of people will die. But the question is only what they will die of.
I
Yeah.
think that if you've gotten a vaccine, you might be one of the first to get super sick from this next strain. I think that's another side effect we're going to see is people who are vaccinated getting sicker than those who are not.
That's it. And look, if you don't believe in that germ theory, no,
Right.
then you could also say maybe you just get sick because of what they put into your body.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that. I just say that it's like open mind, out of the box superstition uh,
And
thinking. Yeah. So
Rhonda says they'll blame the unvaccinated, which will be funny because if it's the vaccinated that gets sick and die off, it'll be so upside down that they will blame the unvaccinated. Somehow it will be our fault, and that's that's where we're going to see cities of refuge, I think, really start coming into play. And we talk about that. We talk about that a lot. Places of refuge, village of refuge, city of refuge, home of refuge. We're going to be needing places we can come together, and that's why I've given out my phone number, my physical location to a lot of you guys in our Discord group and things like that, because we want to stay in touch and be able to find each other if we need to come together.
yeah, here one of our colleagues here from Germany is listening in. It's late there, so I will give some light to his comment here. He said the unvaccinated will for sure be discriminated. That is definitely true. We will see it already. I don't know if you noticed today, for instance, was 2 days ago were a volcanic eruption. Yeah, in Saint one of the Caribbean islands. I just don't know now. Saint whatever Vincent, I think Saint Vincent was it, and basically now the aid group said only the vaccinated can come on the
Yeah.
rescue ship. Come on,
Right.
that is only what our colleague says from Germany. That is basically it. Yeah, it's already happening. I mean,
Ben's,
it's
did you get out of the military? Did I see that right? Because it looks like uh, Brenda is saying congrats on getting out. So if that's the case, that's a huge praise. That is a really huge praise, and I want to congratulate you as well. Oh, not yet. Never mind. Darn it. I was hoping. Not yet, but soon, hopefully. But he did forego his. They're not forcing a vaccine on him yet, so yay.
I mean that a good. That's an important point. I mean, we have still, let's say, our body, our choice. Probably will fight for it at one point, yeah, and probably will have also some let's say more difficulties to get into the society for a while. But then for people working in let's say health professionals, military professional, this kind of police, whatever, yeah, for working for the state, let's say, they have issues because they will be the first. They cannot take the decision. Either they go out, or you either you're with the system or you're out of the system. At that point, I think we will all get to that point. We will all get to that point, but we are likely to have a bit more time to brace ourselves. But I think we will see a mark of the beast situation. Only that once. And that's maybe interesting. Let's cover this maybe quickly at really the end of the end. Basically, you see already in that movie that they have this bracelet, right?
Yep, they get a bracelet for
Showing
being
that,
vaccinated.
and isn't that already the idea?
Yeah,
Isn't that
it's on
already
their
the idea?
forearm, basically.
And I don't know how you see that. I mean, what do you think is the so-called mark of the beast, effectively?
Yeah, it's going to be when your DNA is completely changed, and you're not going to have salvation anymore. But I don't know how to. I don't know that I could say that that is what this is exactly yet. I think it's certainly like Airborne Saint just said. Mike just said it's training, no doubt. So if you're going to readily accept this, you'll probably readily accept the next one, and we'll know it's the mark because they'll get very hive mindy. They're going to kind of hive mind together, and then But this one, I'm not sure. I don't think it's this one's it yet. I just think this one's a. We're all in a big test right now. It's a big test.
For sure.
Yeah.
But,
So
let's make a prediction. What happens next? The movie starts with the vaccine, right? Then everything is solved. But we know the real issue starts with the vaccine. So we're gonna have now a real pandemic, which you can make your mind if that's being caused by their proposed solution or by a different strain, whatever you want to believe in. But you will see a real pandemic. People die. That
yeah.
Psalms 91 situation. People around you that are not protected by common sense and or our creator, they will have issues.
Right.
And then the next phase will be what? What will come next?
After they. Well, I don't.
After
Tell
we
me.
have a real pandemic, we have a real situation like in the movie, real people dying, uncontrollable. You cannot produce so fast vaccines. So what you gonna do? You need
Run
to
for the
really
hills.
lock down the world 100%, 100% in their mind, right? The system
Right.
thinks like
Which
this,
is
right?
what. Yeah. You see that in the. There's a lot of lockdown and everything. Nobody can go anywhere, do anything. Telling everybody stay home. 10 feet apart. They said 10 feet for some reason. Yeah.
But then will be like they said in the lockstep situation here, Rockefeller. Then there might be anarchy. Some people going crazy. You know, there will
Sure.
be supply chain issues, food issues, shortages. Also, this is
Absolutely.
something in the movie. Food shortages also covered in the movie. So this will come, famine, you know, all that stuff. So now,
Right.
um, what they will do, how they control this? Yeah, then you go from over the skin surveillance to under the skin surveillance and to a one world government solution that is really like communist style China that is kind of becoming the role model, solving the issue top down, you know, dictatorship style. And I
Yeah.
think that is I don't know how fast this will go. Yeah, that might take some time, yeah, to go there. It will be a long marathon from now. Yeah, but I don't know how you see that. Is that also a scenario that you see that we're gonna see
Yeah.
really literally a
That's
physical microchip that you have your vaccine passport there, that you have all the information there. You know, I mean, the technology exists already, right?
right.
And
I think it'll end up being like I can't remember what movie I watched, but it was a split. Oh, no. It doesn't matter. I watched some movie where it was split up where you had certain people that lived in the city and got to technology and had a good job and got to live in this really nice area, but they're very obedient too, right? You have to be very obedient, or you get kicked out to the outskirts of the city where all the people, where nobody gets anything. They're not really being fed. They're not getting access to clean water. But everybody, it was some movie about getting clean water too. And guess what? Kamala Harris just warned us that that's going to be the next commodity we're going to have wars over. She said that our next commodity that we'll have wars over will be over clean water. And that this movie was portraying the same thing. All the people that were obedient got to live in the city, got to have the clean water, and if they lost their job, they had to go live in the outskirts where they couldn't get the clean water. And I think there'd be a separation like that. And guess what? There was a big wall around the city, and you're gonna. And that's why I say we got to be self-sufficient, get ourselves our gardens, start learning how to get your own seeds from last year's garden and plant them this year. Get ourselves our own way to purify water, our own way to have electricity, our own way to share amongst each other, whether it's with gold and silver or with just our gifts, and not communism, because we're not going to force everybody to share, but we're going to say let's choose to come together and help each other with our different gifts, not all living in a commune or even the same. We could live acres apart, but being near each other where we all have different gifts and we don't have to do it alone. And I've been talking about that for a while. You've talked about it. That's something that Benz and I have talked about, and several of us want to do. I did drop the Discord link a few times. Please join the Discord if that's something you're interested in, because we're serious about it. We're serious about making sure we can do these things together. I say making sure, God willing, Yah willing.
but nice that you say that because that is missing in the movie, right? That's just to close it down. This Contagion movie, not one time anybody in the movie, not one other character is referring to divine protection or whatever
No, of
their
course not.
belief system is.
No.
Isn't that interesting? All look for worldly solution, homeopathic,
Yep.
big
With the
pharma, whatever the case might be,
Yep,
you
the
know. But
doctors,
you,
the vaccine, the CDC, all of them are going to save us, not our Father in heaven, not the Most High.
not one. Isn't that interesting? I
Yeah.
mean, that is.
They couldn't possibly do that. They couldn't possibly. And again, my girls were watching a TV show where this girl gets cancer, and I'm like, don't you find it? And I said to my girls, don't you find it interesting that she's looking to her own strength to overcome this? Where her mom is like, you're the strongest person I know. You're going to overcome this. And she's like, yeah, I'm real strong. And I'm like, you're looking to your own strength to overcome cancer. Yeah, it's just a TV show. But again, it's for kids. They're not looking for any, they're looking at chemotherapy. She gets chemotherapy instead of looking for alternative treatments. And she's looking to her own strength to survive. It's just, it's everywhere. You can't get away from it. You can't put the kids in a bubble, but you explain it to them that that is not how it works. There is a savior, there is salvation, there is healing, true healing from our Father in heaven, the Most High.
So be it. Yeah, that's for sure. That's.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right. Anything else you want to, any closing discussion you want to say?
No, I think we covered it. I mean, this movie is I don't recommend to watch it because
Yeah.
it's
Nobody needs to
nothing.
watch it. We covered it.
All this plan demonic. The way I see it, that's not covered in this movie. This is a plan demonic.
Yeah.
It's a spell, literally. I don't know how that really works. Who believes it will definitely. That's 1.4. If you believe it now already, you're already spiritually speaking dead. But now the show will come really. If who has not a strong faith now, even I have to really push myself. I'm now, as I said to you, now the famine in Sao Paulo. It must be the same in your big cities. I would like to hear that maybe from you. We see famine in the movie. In the reality, we see it also. The huge cities here.
Right.
We see a lot of homeless people, no food. Shortages are really real already. So we joined an initiative with my family called Hunger Hunters.
Right.
So basically, really nice collecting food for them and delivering to them because nobody wants to also do this job now because they're afraid about the virus, the killer virus. So we as we are feeling immune to this BS, so we are going out in the battlefield. But I mean, this is just a little tip of an iceberg. There's so many people suffering. This is real, and this is real. I mean, this is happening. It will become more and more. I don't know how it's in the US, but I understand in downtown must be in big cities the same scenario, right?
It could
There's
be
10 cities.
Well, yeah, well, that's been going on for a while, but it's certainly worse, and that's going to be in the more blue states, the more the lefty states. I'm not saying I don't subscribe to either side, but the more leftist states there is more of that, and it's gotten worse because of this. And interestingly enough, there hasn't been a huge death rate of homelessness when it comes to this virus. They don't seem to be getting it out in the open like that. So interesting that how filthy they can get, because we're talking about people who are pooping on the streets and everything, that they're not dropping dead left and right, and they are not. So anyway, I don't live in a big city like that. In fact, where I live, people are still wearing masks even though they don't have to. But other than that, everything's fully open. There's no restrictions. The thing we are seeing is that buying materials is much more expensive. If you want to build a shed or a house or anything, you're paying double to triple what we were just paying a few months ago. So I expect to see that with gasoline as well. Possibly food. I'm seeing the food items getting smaller and costing the same, if not more. So we're going to see a massive inflationary problem because of the stimuluses that were sent out by our government and that they're trying to send more now. But we're gonna see inflationary. That's why we're trying to get people into gold, silver, and cryptocurrency. And I'm not saying cryptocurrency is going to be around forever, but we can use it now to increase our purchasing power. Just like they're going to throw gold and silver in the streets one day, we are using it now to increase our purchasing power now because we're not there yet. It's not the end yet, guys. So don't act like it is. Don't bury yourself in a bunker and hide out. We still got work to do.
No, for sure. And the inflation is real. This is something that who doesn't see that one, that will happen, or is actually happening. It's hidden inflation already, but this will be now the second half of the year be a huge topic.
Yep.
Well, it might be even hyperinflation. So brace yourself, put your money in real values. Yeah, whatever the case might be. Like Aaron is offering gold, silver. The crypto thing I'm new, so I cannot give an advice on this one. Yeah. So, but
We're not giving financial advice.
no, we don't do that.
Yeah.
But real values, whatever the case might be. Yeah. Collector items, whatever gives value. If money is worth nothing anymore, you know.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What's going on? Somebody's driving down your street all crazy.
Yeah, that's yeah. I'm living in a rural area, so if something like this happens, it's a big event, you know.
I thought maybe it was like a siren at first, but anyway, I'm
No,
gonna
no,
I'm gonna go meet with a friend, so I am done. Even if you're
sure.
not. So, oh,
No.
Mike says I
I'm
should
also
leave.
done.
Mike
My
says I should
family
leave my
waiting.
bunker. Yeah, yes, Mike, leave your bunker. Get out of there. All right. Well, I appreciate you. I'm gonna let you go to your family, and I'm gonna go hang out with mine and a couple of friends. And thanks for spending the time. Thanks for being patient while we worked through the issues that we had to work through. And thank you for everybody in the chat. What a really awesome chat. We had up to 40 people in here at once. That is a blessing. I'm glad to see the channel doing something like that. So I guess you're going to have to come back more because you're quite popular. So let's do this again sooner than later. How about that?
No, for sure. Anytime. It was always a pleasure. And here, our friend from Germany, he hang out until now. I think that is very late. So it's a great discussion and insights. Thanks to both of you. God bless everybody here. So that's a good ending word. So let's end with that.
Amen. Yep.
Blessings for
Yahweh.
everybody. Yeah. So God, hallelujah, and
All
good
right.
night.
Good night.
You're